The What It Takes Radio Company invites you to another adventure, an exploration, sometimes just an experiment with inconvenient ideas. Because you know what? Everything you think you know might be wrong. Let's talk about some of those things right now. Greetings once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stan Hustad, back after a bit of a downtime, overtime, out of time in my life. And that was a bit inconvenient. So I thought this would be a good way to begin with some inconvenient ideas, which doesn't necessarily mean they're bad ideas. In fact, what I am now discovering is many of the best ideas are usually inconvenient to us and to others, at least for a time. And again, one of the subtitles of this whole adventure called Inconvenient Ideas is the ability to say, could it be that everything I think I know or thought I knew might be wrong? Can we have the courage, perhaps, and the confidence and the humility to admit that in these changing chaos and sometimes crisis times that everything we thought we knew might be wrong? Well, that's just the thought for today. I just wanted to come back with a few things that I think might be helpful. Now, one of the things that we've always been about has been the idea that entrepreneurship is a good way to live. That even though I may be a real entrepreneur in the fact that I have my own businesses and I either live or die by them, that even though you may not be in that category, it's important to think that way. The idea that in our times that we must think of ourselves perhaps as self-employed, that we think of ourselves as someone who doesn't work for some group or for some organization, but we work with them, that we understand that in this day and age we have to be kind of fully self-sufficient as best we can. Recently, and now this again is an easy confession to make, is that when I first heard about the coming AI, and many of you may remember that I actually said that not a whole lot of things would change, but a number of things would. Well, I think I may have gotten that wrong. It could be that a whole lot of things are going to change. As I have gotten more into it and discovered both the beauty of it, the bounty of it, in many cases for my work, the blessing of it, but also to discover that it could be a real bombshell, it could be a real blast, it could be a real boomer in the negative sense for a number of organizations and a number of careers. It is very powerful, and it's doing things that I never thought it would be possible. And I have found that to be very helpful. In fact, just the other day, we were going through some difficult decisions as to how to handle a transaction. And my team and I, we just didn't know how to make that work or the resources we would need. So I got on and got on to Stash, our robot, and I put out the question and the dilemma. And within about 2 or 3 minutes, it came across, and it had the research, and it had the answer, and it had the people that we needed to contact to get what we needed. Now, I don't know how long it would have taken us to do that. A long time. It would have wasted the day for sure. And we had it done in about 3 minutes. It turned out that the information was correct, it was helpful, and solved the problem in about 5 minutes that could have taken us 5 hours or the entire day. And that is happening, as I'm discovering, for a lot of people, that it can be some things that are really very, very helpful. As I say, keep in mind that what it does, it's not creative. Keep in mind that that's important. But as I say, it's AI is, first of all, it is very much aggregated. It knows where everything is at. Of all the knowledge out there, they can aggregate what you need quickly. It also has an amplification to it. It can really highlight it and bring it out and amplify it and expand on the information. And it can do that incredibly so. Uh, it has acceleration. It is so much faster than any of us would dare to dream that we could do it. And in effect, it's also very much the fourth A is it has a sense of artistry. Uh, It is an artistic. You need a picture. You need a diagram. You need a studio background. Whatever you need artistically, it can very well put that together in worlds and words and work that are quite amazing. And that is just the beginning of what is possible. And I've also discovered that there are a number of people who've told me that in terms of their financial planning and some of their tax doing, is that what AI has done in terms of making market recommendations or telling people how to handle a stock situation or a tax situation, that the answer they get is far more creative than they could be aware of. That in some cases their financial and tax advisor had never heard about that or knew about that. And so all of that is making things very, very unique and very challenging. So we're going to have to learn how to deal with it, and we're all about that. My friend Joe Pine, who is now the leader of what he calls the transformation economy, said to me, Stan, you got to read this book. Okay, Creator Capitalist. And boy, it is a doorstop book. And I said, well, why? And he said, well, Stan, there's some things in there that we all need to know. These two guys that call themselves the category pirates, and they've got an incredible amount of new information, particularly AI based. And what they're saying is that you'll have to be a capitalist creator. You have to learn how to create things in a way that it creates not only value for other people, but it is capitalistic. It is the marketplace. And so they have a variety of ways that they are suggesting us do that. Now, one of the ones that I hadn't ever used the word before, but I give the category pirates. By the way, check them out. Category pirates are two guys and a woman who helps them, and they've got some incredibly crazy ideas, but inconvenient ideas, but maybe very convenient ideas. And what they're saying is that it really is a digital creative world now. And everybody can play. And those who don't play are going to lose out. And so we have to do that. And one of their recommendations is that you need to discover your superpower. Now, that word hit me. Well, what's my superpower? Well, I'm good at a number of things, but I would really encourage you to think about that. Do you have a superpower? Could you, with a little work, develop a superpower and bring that into your life and marketplace? What is your superpower? Do you have one? What is the category of life and business that you could own? I mean, you could be number one, or certainly number 10, or certainly number 100 of thousands, if you could really frame it so that you are one of the category pirates. What category of life, business, and the marketplace can you find your way? As they also point out, please keep in mind in doing so, you're going to have to not make noise, but you're going to have to be a bit noisy. You're going to have to speak and say and perform. just what we've been teaching you all about. Um, your blogs, your written blogs, are going to lose their power. They don't have emotion, expression, persuasion. They don't have energy. They don't have a number of things that people will want in the digital age. And so those are some of the things that are really striking me right now. And so I just want to pass them on to you, that we are in challenging times. Now, 26, I promised, was going to be a difficult year. Now, I didn't mean it was going to be hard and terrible and things like that, but it's going to be difficult because there's going to be so many changes we have to make, so many things we have to get used to. And AI has been more than that. Also, I'm wondering now, with the current war going on, something big is going to get settled one way or the other. Because really what has happened is that the empire of Iran, under the Islamic regime, has influenced a whole lot of the power structures within the Middle East. And in effect, Donald Trump has been just like Teddy Roosevelt, only more so. It's said that Teddy Roosevelt said, speak softly, but carry a big stick. Well, Donald Trump would say, speak strongly, real strongly, maybe shout and scream and carry a big stick. And so the move that he is making on maybe all of our behalf, certainly on behalf of the many Jewish people who the Iran regime has been after for years, things might change a lot, and maybe for the better. But there's going to be a number of those things that take place in our lives. Could it be, and someone said to me just the other day, they asked me to look at a document and see if they thought the wording was right. And I went back to him and I said, well, the wording is right, correct, but there's no power. You're going to need power. Words do not persuade. Power persuades. And so your words probably need to have some power in them. They may have to be delivered with power. They may have to cause things to happen that are powerful. Now, what Trump did in saying, okay, I'm going to block the ports of Iran, so they say they will determine who will use the canal, the Straits of Hormuz. He said, okay, here's the deal. You won't use them. You can't use them. And the only people who can use them will be the ones we allow to use them. And in fact, he took their major leverage card and turned it on them. And now we will see what will be, what will happen. But that struck me. Speak softly. And we do need to lower the energy and the tone and the violence and the bad things. But there's also a point where we're going to have to speak strongly and perhaps carry a big stick. So that's where I'm trying to figure some things out now. I'm in the same situation that many of you are in. I have many, many opportunities. I also have many, many challenges. I'm looking at what will be in the years that might be ahead of me. I'm lucky in the sense that I don't have to think about the next 20 or 30 years because I won't make it that long, but I hope to be around and do good work. I want to do good things. I want to be useful. As I've told you before, my daughter wrote a book called How to Be Useful. I'm going to try and resurrect that for you, particularly when I found out that one of Elon Musk, when he said that the thing that kind of guided him as a wild and crazy entrepreneur was just to simply ask the question, what could I do for others that would be useful? Not necessarily entertaining, which is important, not necessarily making people happy, which is important, not necessarily problem solving, which is very important, but to actually fit in where I am useful. And so that will be one of the episodes we're going to be talking about. Now, also in addition to that, all right, this may be of interest to you. And if you'll pardon me just a moment, I'm going to see if I can change into another studio. Let's see if I can do that, okay? Let me see if I can go to a different studio. I think I can, just a bit here. Where would that new studio be? Could it be here? No. That's another studio called the 10X Studio, and that might be something that you want to talk about. Uh, could it be the Transformation Zone Studio? Oh, that's going to be a unique studio. Or could it be the Cowboy Spirit Zone Studio? Well, that's the one we're going to talk about. The cowboy genre, the Western genre, is growing by leaps and bounds. Just see all the storytelling that's taken place on YouTube video. And as I was one of the creators of the first Cowboy Up podcast, right now, those of you who love the cowboy way of life, the dude ranch experience, the Western writers, those of you who are very much a creator within the cowboy tradition, or you are a consumer of the cowboy tradition, we've put together what we call the Cowboy Spirit Storytelling Company, because that's the business that the Western people are in, the cowboy spirit people are in. And we're going to call it a broadcasting, publishing, and performing collective. And all of those words have important meaning. Now, if you'd like to know a little bit more about what the Cowboy Spirit Storytelling Company is all about, that gang of highly polished, I mean, they're good. They are great musicians. They're great writers. They're great in the business of telling stories. They're very good in running a experiential industry like the Dude Ranch business. And we're going to try and put together a collective of people who will not only perform well, but help others perform well and build a business that helps people live well and flourish. Remember, if your business does not help people live better and flourish, it's probably a wreck. And I guess I'm getting known for that expression around the world. I find it popping up all the time. I really mean that. We're not in the business just to make a profit. We are to be people who do business to help one another flourish and be fully alive and live well. Peace on earth, goodwill to men and women. And that's what we're all about. Well, thank you for giving me about 19 minutes, a little less than a TED Talk. It says, maybe some people call it a Twit Talk, but I would love you to be in touch with me. You want to reach out with me to me about anything, here we go, Stan@witradio.net, Stan@witradio.net, Stan@witradio.net. Let's get you on the air. Let's get you in business. Let's help you become world class and perhaps develop your superpower that makes a good living, maybe a great contribution, and brings peace on earth and goodwill to all of us. Till next time, bye for now.